side of life. There's a bright and sunny side too, though we meet with darkness and strife. The sunny side may also find you. We'll keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten up our way if we keep on the sunny side of life. Hopes that we cherish so dear. Well, the storm will soon pass away. The sun will shine bright again someday. So keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten up our way if we keep on the sunny side of life. Let's greet each new day with a song. Though the weather be cloudy or fair, and give thanks to the heavens above. Someday I will meet you up there. We'll keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten up our way if we keep on the sunny side of life. If we keep on the sunny side of life. Now we hear the roar of the crowd. Yeah! The muted roar of the crowd. So anyway, yeah, that was the Carter family, and they were a family band like us. I don't know if we mentioned we were a family band. We're a family band from Rocky Point, New York, and they started out playing music back in the 1920s, playing for their neighbors and for their family. And when the electric microphone, which was a microphone that looked a lot like this, got invented, it made it possible to broadcast music on the radio, string band music that wasn't really loud, like brass bands and opera singers and things like that. Could be broadcast and could be recorded, and they were looking for new acts to be recorded, so they set up a recording session in Bristol, Tennessee, and they discovered the Carter family then in 1927, and they went on to have a great career. They recorded 300 or 400 songs over the next few decades. And the Carter family was Maybelle Carter, her cousin Sarah Carter, and Sarah's husband A.P. Carter. And Maybelle had a little girl named June, and she continued the Carter family tradition after the original family broke up. And her and June and Helen and Anita played as the Carter family. And June Carter married a guy who went on to be pretty famous himself, a guy by the name of Johnny Cash. And they kind of adopted Johnny into the family and cleaned him up and got him on this walking the straight and narrow, down to walk the line, I guess. And we're going to do a song that I wrote. It's on our Ragged But Right CD in honor of the late, great Johnny Cash. It's called The Man Who Dressed in Black. Willow had a cry, cry, cry. He went down, down, down die. He's the man dressed in black. He's the man who walked the line. Dressed in black. So that recording session that took place in Bristol, Tennessee in 1927 went on to be a very famous recording session, important to the history of country music. If you watch Ken Burns' miniseries on the history of country music, I'm sure he featured that. The first couple episodes were kind of where our music came from. But so that was called the Big Bang of country music, and because they discovered the Carter family, Mr. Ralph Peer put on that session, and he signed all these artists. He picked about 80 or 90 artists out of the hundreds that came out of the hills with their banjos and mandolins to audition for him, and he picked out, I think, 88 artists, and he recorded a few tunes from each one. And the ones that sold well got to come back again and record some more and become for the Victor Recording Company. And the Carter family were his biggest discovery, but another guy who was almost, I guess, maybe he was equally as big, but his career didn't last as long because he had tuberculosis at the time, and he died only 4 years after that session. But he recorded, I don't know how many songs, a lot of songs. And his name was Jimmy Rogers. He was known as the father of country music, or the singing brakeman, or the blue yodeler. And he recorded 2 tunes. He was in another band, and they kicked him out the night before the audition, the recording session. But he recorded 2 tunes on his own, and they released them, but they didn't sell very well. So Ralph Peer wasn't going to call him back but Jimmy was a real huckster, and he kept pestering Ralph Peer to have him come back. And he said, "Okay, come on up to New York, or Camden, New Jersey, and we'll record you again." And he said, "I got this really good song," and he said, "Okay." So he came up and he recorded this one called Blue Yodel Number 1.
Followed by Blue Yodel Number 2, Blue Yodel Number 3, Blue
They
Yodel
got up to number
4.
9. So when you got a good thing, you go with it.
Just keep going.
So a lot of people have covered this, and it's also known as T for Texas. So people who don't want to yodel call it T for Texas, but the real hardcore people who are continuing Jimmy's tradition will yodel. They call it Blue Yodel Number 1. And when I do this, a lot of times I kind of I'm channeling Dwight Yoakam. I don't know if he ever did it, but I could just see him doing it. Should I put my hat on? I don't have a cowboy hat, but
is that channeling Jimmy Rogers better?
Jimmy Rogers, yeah, he wore a hat too. He wore a boater hat sometimes, or a Stetson hat, but
I think you want your eyes to show.
not if I'm Dwight Yoakam. No. Right?
Well, I guess.
Anyway, going to feature some hot mandolin picking on this one too. It goes like this. For Texas, Where the water tastes like wine. Going back to Texas, the water tastes like cherry wine. This water here in Georgia, you know it tastes like turpentine. Rather drink muddy water and sleep in a hollow log. I'd rather drink muddy water and sleep in a hollow log than to be here in Georgia and be treated like a dirty dog. If my house catch on fire and there ain't no water around, if my house catch on fire and ain't no water around, well, I grab my old guitar and let my house burn to the ground. Hey, yodelay, 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 yodelay. You don't want me, woman. Well, you don't have to call. If you don't want me, woman, you know I ain't gonna worry at all. 'Cause I can get me more women than a passenger train can haul. Yodelay, 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 yodelay. Well, T for Texas and T for Tennessee. T for Texas, T for Tennessee. T for Thelma, you know they want me in a academy. Lady, yodelay, yodelay, yodelay. Yeah, let's tune up. Thank you.
Yes. If you guys are doing that, should I be doing that?
That might be a good idea. We tune because we care. right, Roger?
Is Roger there? Where's his face?
I think that's him up in the corner there.
Oh.
Oh, no, it's not. I don't
No,
know.
we know he's there though.
He's there.
I think Roger's on our YouTube channel right now.
Oh.
I can take this off for the rest of the set.
Oh, the harmonica?
That's nice.
Ah. So, we're doing,
We're going to do another one that features some Anna Lee playing here.
So I have more strings than you guys.
so you have to tune longer.
This one's by a fellow by the name of Mississippi John Hurt from Avalon, Mississippi. He recorded a bunch of tunes in the 1920s, and then what happened to a lot of these guys, a lot of these artists who recorded in the 20s during the great golden age of recording after they invented the electric microphone, a lot of them fell on hard times once the Depression hit. Their records ended up in the bargain bins, and they stopped recording a lot of stuff, and they just stuck with the big star acts like the Carter Family and Jimmy Rogers. So a lot of the other artists got dropped. Mississippi John Hurt was one of them, but he got rediscovered in the folk boom in the 60s and appeared at Newport Folk Festival and a lot of places like that when he was well into his 60s and 70s, I guess.
I think our cat is making an appearance here.
And this one's for the guy who's giving away the candy factory.
Oh, Jelly Belly?
Jelly Belly, the Candyman.
Are we going to enter that contest?
1, 2, 3, 4. My sitting on a candy stand. Candyman. Gonna do another old-timey number. This one has been recorded by a lot of people, although I'd be hard-pressed to name. I know the Seldom Seen or Country Gentleman did it in bluegrass. It was featured in the movie Songcatcher, if you ever saw that movie, which was about the people who went around doing field recordings back in the beginning of the 20th century, around 1915. And this song was featured in a book that came out in 1916 or 17 called English Folk Songs from the Southern Appalachian Mountains, collected by Cecil Sharp, who was an English folklorist. And he was very happy and excited to find that people in the Appalachian Mountains were singing these old English songs that people in England had long since forgotten. So this was one of his songs. He collected mostly ballads, but this one's not really a ballad, but it shows up in a lot of those things. And it's called The Fair and Tender Ladies. And we're going to let Annalise start it off, because she's the fair and tender lady. She's the fair and tender lady of the band.
Not me. I'm the old one. Okay.
Yeah, never mind. Pretty song. And that was, Georgianne was playing the Appalachian dulcimer for that song, which fits it very well. And that's an American instrument invented back in the 19th century by people who lived up in the Appalachian Mountains, the English and Scottish people that settled up there. When German people started moving into the neighborhood, mountains there, they brought with them their German zithers. And that's what my great-grandmother played, a German zither. But the people that were already up there, they kind of liked it, and they redesigned it, simplified it, and came up with their own version of it, and that's what it is.
Yep.
And we're going to do one now. Song that I put together, it's a combination of a bunch of different floating verses. A lot of these traditional songs use the same verses. They repeat them over and over again. They mix them up. And I took some verses from a song called Molly Dear, which was another one that was recorded at the Bristol Sessions by B.F. Shelton, who was a barber from Kentucky. And he recorded, I think, 4 songs, and they were really good songs. But his career never took off. And it was, so that was Molly Dear, and then the Carter family did a song called East Virginia Blues, which uses some of these verses, and then there's a song called Dark Hollow, which I guess maybe the Stanley Brothers did. And of course, for all you hippies out there, the Grateful Dead did it too. So I took verses from all those and put them together, and I made one up called The Wild Northland. And it goes like this. There I saw a fair young lady thirsty today.
It's kind of hot and muggy.
Oh, it's much nicer than the last show. We got it. Last show we played it, the Zoom show we played. We don't have air conditioning in our house. We live in a little beach house on the North Shore of Long Island. And it usually doesn't get too hot, but we had some real hot times this summer. And the last show we did, it was hot.
It was like
But we
95.
got, Georgianne got me a present. She got me a silent fan.
A silent fan, Amy. That they can't
If I,
see.
if I hadn't cut my hair off, you'd see my hair flowing behind
Oh,
me.
yeah, huh?
I didn't want to have my little ponytail. So we're going to do, so I had a little bit of a Grateful Dead song, and we're going to do a Led Zeppelin song now.
Oh,
Yep.
who really did it?
Led Zeppelin.
Steven Sisters did it too.
Stevens Sisters did it.
But wait a
Yes.
minute, it's Blind Willie Johnson.
Yes.
Oh, yay! Woo!
Blind Willie Johnson, the Blind
Got it.
Pilgrim from Texas, from East Texas. And
Or the Blind Pilgrim or the Texas Pilgrim? Somebody.
Blind Texas Martin, he went by. A lot
Okay.
of these guys had many different names. Sometimes it was because the authorities were after them. Sometimes it was because they recorded for different recording companies. They'd sign exclusive contracts, but then they figure, oh, I'll just use a different name. That's okay. And most of the time they got away with it, I guess.
I guess.
How do we start this? Oh yeah, I remember. In my time of dying, I don't want nobody to mourn. All I want for you to do is bring my body home. Well, 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 I can die easy. Well, well, well. Well, 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 I can die easy. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. Meet me in the middle. Meet me in the middle of the air. If my wings should fail me, Lord, won't you meet me with another pair? Well, 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 I can die easy. Well, well, well. Well, 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 I can die easy. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. time of dying. I don't want nobody to mourn. All I want for you to do is bring my body home. Well, 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 I can die easy. Well, well, well. Well, 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 I can die easy. Jesus gonna make up. Jesus gonna make up. Jesus gonna make up my dying day. So, Anna Lee's the fair and tender lady. She's also the amazing Anna Lee.
Oh,
And she got that nickname from her jaw harp playing. She's famous around the world, from
where?
South Bronx to Siberia. Some of our CDs are in a museum in Siberia. There's a museum, a jaw harp or mouth harp museum there. And someone who liked our music sent a bunch of our CDs there.
I don't
So-
know why, because like
We hadn't been using the jaw harp for a while, and we decided we'd try and incorporate it, maybe do a banjo song with the jaw harp. So far, this is the one that we like the best. We were going to do a different one, but I think we're going to do this one again. It's kind of a country karma. We should do Willie Nelson, little old-fashioned karma coming down. Anyway, the Carter family used to do this, not exactly like this, but 1, 2, 3. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. If you've been lying, you better quit lying. If you've been lying, you better quit lying. If you've been lying, you better quit lying. You're gonna reap just what you sow. If you've been stealing, you better quit stealing. If you've been stealing, you better quit stealing. If you've been stealing, you better quit stealing. You're gonna reap just what you sow. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Been cheating, you better quit cheating. If you've been cheating, you better quit cheating. If you've been cheating, you better quit cheating. You're gonna reap just what you sow. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. So on the mountain, reap in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. If you've been warring, you better quit warring. If you've been warring, you better quit Some on the mountain, reap in the valley. Some on the mountain, reap in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow.
And now we depart for a minute. We leave you with the banjo for a minute.
I play, the style of banjo I play is called clawhammer banjo, and there's a lot of different tunings people use in clawhammer banjo. It's really the old traditional, let's see, did I get everything? Distract myself. There's a lot of different tunings because the original banjos were fretless. It was an African instrument, and it's really very important to American music. Because the banjo, the way it evolved now, is really a culmination of people, different cultures coming together and sharing ideas, like a lot of things in America. And in this case, it's African. Original banjos were called banzars, and they were made out of a gourd with the skin stretched over them, and they had a long neck and one short string that was a drone like this one. Whoops, except we gotta get it in tune. They say banjo players spend half their time tuning and the other half playing out of tune. It's kind of the nature of the beast. So yeah, so the African slaves started making banjos when they got here. Drums were illegal, but they were allowed to play the banjo. They were allowed to play stringed instruments. So people who knew how to build and make banjos became very important in the African American community. And after a while, European people down south started admiring the sound of the banjo, and they started making their own. And they started making them a little different. They made them out of buckets or cheese hoops rather than gourds. And eventually, in the 1840s, mid-1840s, a fellow named William Esperance Boucher, who was a drum maker from Baltimore, started making banjos out of drums. And that's what it is. It's a drum. Now, when I was learning how to play banjo, someone once told me, he said, remember, it's a drum. You're playing a drum with strings on it. You got to hit it. You don't pluck it. You hit it. So the style clawhammer banjo, rolled down. You hit the strings with your thumb trails. So I'm going to do one. I don't like that one. This is an old murder ballad, and this was actually one of the ones that another one that B.F. Shelton recorded back at that Bristol sessions, and it's went on to be recorded by lots of people in bluegrass and blues, and one fellow by the name of John Cephas, a Piedmont blues guitar player, did a nice version of it, which is kind of, I kind of based mine a little bit on that. But it was also done, interestingly, in 1959, Harry Belafonte did it at his Carnegie Hall concert. So, I don't know if B.F. Shelton learned it from some African Americans or if Harry just liked it. I don't know. It's called Darlin' Corey, and it's about a moonshining gun mall. Wake up, darling Corey. What makes you sleep so sound? Those revenue men are coming. They're gonna tear my still house down. my man. Run away, darling Corey. Run away now as fast as you can. You killed that revenue officer. They're gonna hang you if they can. Can you hear those blackbirds singing? Can you hear that mournful sound? They're preaching the funeral of Corey on some lonesome graveyard ground. Dig a hole in the meadow. Dig a hole in the cold, cold ground. Dig a hole in the meadow. We're gonna lay darling Corey down. Give me some more water.
I did.
The banjo.
The banjo. Because it might still be a little loud, but not to change it. Okay. The banjo.
What are we gonna do now?
I don't
So
know.
that was I recorded that. When this whole pandemic thing started, we had a whole big tour booked, and the gig started to get canceled, and we decided we'd take the time while we were locked up together here to record a CD. So we recorded a CD right here in our living room, pretty much the way you're hearing us now. And we call our house the Hen House, and I'm Rooster Rick. That Darlin' Corey was on the CD. This next one was too. This is the title track to the CD. Oh, I need a harmonica.
So put the torture device back on, huh?
This is called Party in the Hen House. I think Roger might probably like this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you wake up in the morning, hear that rooster crow. Well, you wake up in the morning, hear that rooster crow. He crows once for the sunrise, second time is just for show.
What's next? Process.
I'm going to do an old child ballad. And they're not called child ballads because they're kiddie songs. They're called child ballads because they were collected by Francis Child back in the late 19th century. He went over to England from, he was the head of the English department at Harvard University, and he went over there and he spent about 10 years or more, I think, collecting songs, and he put out a multi-volume set of songs he collected, and this was number 9 on the hit parade. And it's a story of treachery and deceit, and a lot of them had supernatural tales, and a lot of them were morality tales, but they had a lot of them were kind of spooky, and this one's one of those spooky ones. And it's a story about this 2 princesses that lived in this castle, and this prince from a neighboring kingdom came riding up to the castle, and he started knocking on the door and made the announcement that he was looking for a wife. And he wanted to meet the king's 2 daughters, wanted to meet one of the king's daughters. So the king and queen introduced him to the oldest daughter. They figured she should be the first one to get married. And this was going to be great. It would hook up their kingdoms, a political marriage, you know. And so they introduced her to her, and he liked her pretty well, and they were getting on pretty good. And then he kept spying the younger sister out of the corner of his eye, and he thought maybe he liked her better. So he kind of dropped the older sister, and he went over to the younger one and asked her to marry him.
Younger one's always
And
better.
she said yes, and he gave her this big old giant diamond ring. And she was flashing it around, kind of flaunting it in her sister's face, and she should have known better. Her sister was very jealous, and she was very embarrassed that her younger sister was going to get married before her. So one day they were out rowing out on their rowboat out in the river, and she picks her up and she throws her overboard. And the younger sister just sinks to the bottom because she was wearing that big heavy diamond ring, you know, right down to the bottom. Eventually she did float up. She floated down the river, and she ended up at the miller's dam where they had his mill there. And he reached in and fished her out with a long pole, laid her out on the bank of the river, and laid her out there to dry. And out of the wood come a fiddler fair. And this guy was a fiddler fair, not because he was fair and nice or he was good. It was because he was a fair fiddle player. He wasn't that great. He was okay. He was like the 3rd guy you'd call if you wanted a fiddle player for a gig. And so he goes over to the maiden laid out there on the bank of the river, and you know, if this was like a nice happy ending fairy tale, he would have went over a Disney store. He would have went over and kissed her, and she would have come to life, and they would have lived happily ever after, and they would have started a band or something. Started a family band, like the Homegrown String Band. But no, he looked at her and he thought, you know, there's some good parts for a fiddle there. I could make a fiddle out of her. So he made a fiddle bow out of her long hair, and he made fiddle pegs out of her finger bones. And he made the body of his fiddle out of her breastbone. And he made this fiddle, and this fiddle played the most beautiful music anyone had ever heard. And all of a sudden, he became the most popular fiddle player in all the realm. He's getting all the gigs. Everyone's calling him, he's like the best with this magic fiddle, enchanted fiddle. So word gets out about how good this fiddle player is, and the older sister who's marrying that prince now, that the younger sister's out of the way, she calls him up to play at her wedding. And he says, okay, I'll come play at the wedding. But then he gets to the wedding, and this fiddle would only play one song. Shouldn't have said that, but wow. Anyway, this is called the Twa Sisters, Child Ballad number 9. Sisters in a boat one day, oh, the wind and rain. 2 little sisters in the other in the water so wide. Oh, the wind and rain. One pushed the other in the river to die, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Floated down the river to the old mill's dam. Oh, the wind and rain. She floated down the river to the old mill's dam, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. The miller fished her out with his long log pole. Oh, the wind and rain. The miller fished her out with his long log pole, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. He laid her body on the bank to dry, oh, the wind and rain. He laid her body on the bank to dry, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Out of the wood come a fiddler fair, oh, the wind and rain. Out of the wood come a fiddler fair, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. He made a fiddle bow of her long yellow hair, oh, the wind and rain. He made a fiddle bow of her long yellow hair, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Eight fiddle pegs of her long finger bones, oh, the wind and rain. He made fiddle pegs of her long finger bones, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. He made a fiddle of her little breastbone, oh, the wind and rain. That fiddle could melt a heart of stone, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Fiddler played on the wedding day, oh, the wind and rain. That fiddler played on her wedding day, cried, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. But the only tune that fiddle would play, oh, the wind and rain. The only tune that fiddle would play was woe to the sister that pushed me in.
Whoa to the sister.
Woe to the sister.
So
So,
class is on.
I guess we'll stick to the set list for now.
Okay.
We'll see what we have, if we have room for anything else.
You got to do Roger's request.
I know, I'm keeping that in mind.
You are, huh? Okay.
We're going to do some Hillbilly Boogie now. Two of the big purveyors of Hillbilly Boogie. Hillbilly Boogie was what the string band musicians called music that later became rockabilly and rock and roll. And it was way before Elvis Presley. Thought of combining rhythm and blues music with country music. People were doing it already. Bill Monroe was doing it with his Bluegrass Boys, and the Delmore brothers from Alabama were doing it. And we're going to do a medley of a Bill Monroe number into a Delmore brothers number. Well,
Yeah, that was a good start. Where'd the cat go?
it's live. This is live.
Yeah.
Well, the road is rocky, but it won't be rocky long. Well, the road is rocky, but it won't be rocky long. Another man has got my woman and gone. You're the lady, you're the little lady, you're the little lady. Well, he never missed water until the well run dry. slower one before we do Rogers, because it's too close to that.
Okay.
Should we do
Sorry.
the
Okay.
Elfin Night, or should we do our ending song?
Whatever you want to do.
Think we have time to do 3?
Um,
What do you think, boss man? We got time to do 3 more or 2?
Sure.
Sure.
sure. That was a short
Keep
on
on
3?
playing.
Keep on.
Okay.
Keep on rocking.
May never get old.
Okay, we'll do another spooky, ghosty story one. Another child ballad. And then we'll do Roger's song.
I don't know if I'd consider them spooky, whatever. I think they're just,
This is
Whatever.
one. This is also on
Treacherous.
our Party in the Hen House CD.
You thought the tune was...
And it's I guess I sort of wrote it.
sort of.
These ballads, some of them have when Francis Child collected them, some of them have like 20 or 30 different versions of them. It'd be like Child Ballad number 9 would have like A through F, and another one would have A through M. They would have like all these different versions of them. And I took two of the ballads, and another thing is he didn't collect any music. He just collected lyrics. So the lyrics got put down in his book. So I made up the music for this, and I took two of the ballads, Child Ballad number 2 and 4, and combined them together. And it's a supernatural tale of seduction. It's about this elfin knight, this magical knight, who would seduce women with his magic horn, and he would lead them back to his castle, and then he would have his way with them, and then he would murder them. So that's what the song's about. It's a happy song.
No?
Me
it's
Too
not.
movement.
Me too, me too.
Me
Me Too movement.
Yes, Isabel was she
Hashtag
she
Me
started.
Too.
I think she started it, Lady Isabel.
Oh, yeah?
She started the Me Too movement. The elfin knight, he stands upon yon hill. He blows his horn loud, and he blows his horn so shrill. He blows his horn for Lady Isabel. Blow, wind, blow, forevermore. She could have that knight that stands upon yon mount, then her true love she's sure that she has found. Under his spell forever she is bound. Blow, wind, blow, forevermore. I'll make you a dress with seams of golden thread. I'll make a crown of roses to place upon your head. She climbed upon his steed, and to his keep they fled. Blow, wind, blow, forevermore. and ladies, and the age ye shall be. But the lady plunged a dagger in his heart, and she was free. Blow, wind, blow, nevermore. Blow, wind, blow, nevermore. The
So,
Elephant Night, or as we like to call it, the Elephant Night.
yes.
So we got a request earlier. We're going to try to fulfill it.
Could be interesting.
Request from Roger Ford. We first met at a bluegrass festival back, oh God, almost 20 years ago, I guess. Maybe about 20 years ago. And he requested this that time when we first met him too.
So it goes G to D.
Yes.
How many is this?
And then it goes to C.
Okay, how many is
There we go, we got it. So this was a song that was recorded back. It was a favorite of a band that was on the Grand Ole Opry, one of the first bands. They were an amateur band, and they were their leader was a guy named Dr. Humphrey Bates. He was a harmonica player, and he had a band called Dr. Humphrey Bates and his Stringed Orchestra. And the Grand Ole Opry wanted to rustify that name. They thought they wore tuxedos, and they came out and they were very gentrified, you know, but they wanted to country make them more rural looking, so they dressed him in overalls and checkered shirts, and they changed their name to Dr. Humphrey Bates and the Possum Hunters. So they thought that would be more appealing to the image they were trying to cultivate. And this was a big hit for him, and there was even a story in the Nashville newspaper saying, how many biscuits can you eat? Could he really eat 40 biscuits?
Do you remember the words?
If I don't, I'll make them up.
Okay.
Well, how many biscuits can you eat this morning? Well, how many biscuits can you eat this morning? This morning, how many biscuits can you eat? 44 and ham and meat this morning for breakfast right now. Well, I like my think there's some more verses to it, but I don't know if I remember them. Annalie, I wanted you to take a solo. Oh, well.
Okay.
I want to thank the library again for having us, and thank you all for tuning in to out there in Zoom land. And hopefully someday we'll be back on the road again, and we'll see you.
Can we get back on?
When we're done, if
Person.
anybody has questions.
Yes, when we're done, we'll have a question and answer period. If what's his name? Jason.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Close. It's Jonathan, but it's close.
Jonathan!
If Jay, we'll just call him Jay.
That's fine.
Like, I'm sitting there going, his emails just say Jay and then his last name. I'm like, mind blank.
If he doesn't mind sticking around, but
Yeah.
if not.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we've been ending a lot of our shows with this one for the last year or so. And this is a song that I wrote. It's also on our Party in the Hen House CD, plug, which you can get on our website, homegrownstringband.com. And we always play at the Garlic Festival. We played for the last 12 years, and this is the first year since like 2010. Is that right?
12? No, like 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
We did
This
first
is,
time I
they
was 17.
got canceled this year, and hopefully it'll be back next year. It's one of our favorite festivals. It's really well run and great food and great people. And they have 7 or 8 stages of music down. We've been playing there. But anyway, we come home Sunday night. And coming home from Saugerties to Long Island on a Sunday night is brutal. The traffic is just killer. And we were stuck in traffic in the Bronx on I-95 right alongside Co-op City.
And I think it was our
Apartment
number
buildings.
1 fan who said, "Are we already?" Keep going.
We were sitting there stuck in front of those buildings, and I remembered when I was born upstate in Albany, New York, and we used to travel back and forth from Long Island to Albany a lot. And I remembered when they were building those apartments. That tells you how old I am. And they were renting them, and they had a sign out, "Apartments for rent." Big banner hanging on the side of the building, and it said, "If you lived here, you'd already be home." And I thought, it'd be nice to be home. The problem is you'd be in the Bronx. So I wrote this song the next day called "I'm Already Home." I forgot how I was going to start it.
Noodling around for party.
Tired of crossing bridges, I'm tired of moving on. I'm trying to find a place for me, a place to call my home. It's not a place I'm going to, or a place I've been before. 'Cause if I live where I am, I'm already home. thank you very much. We're the Homegrown String Band, and we hope to see you again in real life. We could shake your hand. I miss shaking people's hand, shake and greet.
So I don't know.
You can find out more about us at our website, www.homegrownstringband.com. And when we get back out there, that you can go on that website and look at our tab that says shows and see where we're going to be. And
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Does anybody have questions or anything, or should we change the view so we can see people's faces? How do you
Yeah,
do
if
that?
anybody wants to, you should be able to unmute yourself and then you could ask a question.
How do I? Is that giving me? Oh, there we go. I can
Hey,
see
Suzanne.
people. Yeah. Hi.
I see Ricky. I see Susie.
I see a lot of black squares.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Who am I
shy
saying
people.
hello to? Oh, Mark and Erica and Tim and Suzanne. Cool. Don't
Mom,
you?
do you think you can get any
Yeah.
closer to the screen?
I can't get any closer to the screen. People should unmute. Come on, talk.
Or don't. You don't have to talk to us if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, then Joseph J could get home sooner. Or he's home.
I'm already home.
Jonathan.
He is
I'm
home.
running it from home.
I'm already
so I'm
home,
good.
just like the song.
Yeah,
That's what I said,
exactly.
we sing that song when we're on the road, and like now we are already home.
So Jonathan, you shouldn't feel bad because I got interviewed for a newspaper once, and they were asking me questions, and then when it was just a local paper, but when
Oh,
Rick,
it was the New York Times.
it was the New York Times. Rick opened it up,
Local.
and he goes, "Who's Steve?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I look in there, and it says, "My crazy husband Steve," and I'm like, I never said you were crazy, and I never said your name was Steve either. But it was like my crazy husband Steve. I was like, okay, we'll go with that one. So yeah,
Nickname.
yep, definitely. So yeah, I
Oh,
think
Erica can't unmute. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a... Did that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
It just said we weren't allowed to unmute.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's our number one fan. Where's
Yeah.
the paper? Yeah. Yay! He just wants brownie points. Okay.
So Emily, what instrument are you playing? And Georgianne, the small guitar. It's not a guitar. It's not a ukulele. What is it?
Oh well, actually, it is. It's a baritone ukulele.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's big.
So it's like the same as I always get the top and the bottom, but it's got the same 4 strings as the guitar does. So
It's actually a little different than a baritone ukulele too. Though it's made by this company called Pono, a Hawaiian company, and they make some of these hybrid instruments. And they make one that's a little bigger than that, but they kind of made them in between a guitar and a baritone ukulele. So it's actually bigger than a baritone ukulele. The body's more like a parlor guitar.
yeah.
So it's
But basically, if you go to buy it, it says it's a baritone ukulele. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's me and Emily.
Okay.
Did you want to know what this instrument or this one?
Both. What the heck?
Well, this is a mandolin. This is an A-style mandolin. And then this is a jaw harp.
Okay.
I know my question.
Yeah.
You wanna?
no, you talk
No,
about it.
you explain it. You're better at explaining this.
I'm gonna make fun of you then.
Okay, go for it.
This is an instrument. It appears in a lot of different cultures around the world. In Asia, South Asia, they make them out of bamboo, and in Nepal they call it machunga. In Scotland they call it in France, Scotland they call it a trump, and sometimes it's part of the Scottish games. They have competitions with these jaw harps, and in America they call it a jaw harp or a Jew's harp, and that's kind of, sometimes people say juice harp because you drool when you play it. But it doesn't make any noise because it doesn't have a resonator. So you have to provide your own resonator. And Anna Lee has one she carries with her wherever she goes. She keeps it on top of her shoulders.
We call it her head.
So she's known as the Amazing Anna Lee, a.k.a. the resonator.
Yes.
Puts that thing in her mouth and she can get all kinds of sounds out of it. And you change the shape of your mouth and you move your tongue around. You move your tongue around to get different rhythmic effects, and you change the shape of your mouth to get different notes. And there's actually symphony parts written for this. So just like when you say your vowels, you would say A, E, I, O, U. You change the shape of your mouth. That's what you do on the jaw harp. Sometimes Y too.
Yeah. It's like Tigger.
And you can breathe in and out. The amazing Anna Lee. She can play the nose flute too.
I don't have that with me right now, though.
So that's that. And then Georgianne was playing the dulcimer. We talked about that earlier.
Yep.
It's a pretty instrument. That was Georgianne's first instrument. I gave it to her for our anniversary.
Many moons ago.
And it drones like the banjo has the drone strings. The dulcimer does also.
My favorite song.
Dulcimer. And I was playing the banjo, clawhammer banjo, which is an open back banjo, different than a bluegrass banjo, which is usually have a resonator, and they play with finger picks. And the history of the banjo I was explaining earlier, they had fretless banjos. They were all fretless. In the late 19th century, they started putting frets on them, and then guitar players started playing the banjo. And they started playing classical music on them, and then eventually they started playing bluegrass style. Earl Scruggs started playing his three-finger style, and with the frets on there. And but some people up in the mountains still play the old, more African style, which is clawhammer. Old-timey. If you listen to old-time music, they usually play an open-back clawhammer banjo. That's that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I have a question on your microphone. It looks like an oldie-timey microphone.
Yes.
An oldie-timey.
Yeah, I mean, is it really an oldie-timey microphone, or is it a new microphone made to look
new.
like an oldie-timey microphone?
Yeah.
It's new. It's I was talking to Jonathan before. It's
Oh, you got a name right. Woohoo!
It's made by a guy in Oregon. He calls it I forget his name, but his company is Ear Trumpet Microphones. And we saw people using them, and we thought, oh, that looks really cool. And we just thought it would look cool for our show. But it turns out it sounds really good. And the guy did a lot of research, and he really worked on getting the microphone, testing different capsules and different ways to suspend it and all. And he made his first one for his daughter, who needed a microphone for some show she was doing or to record something. And she wanted this really expensive microphone. She couldn't afford it. So he put this together out of like junk. He used like a tea strainer and some, I don't know what else, parts, springs he got from, he just went to a hardware store and bought a bunch of parts. And it worked out so well, people started asking him to make them, and now they've become really popular in bluegrass music. A lot of people are using them for the one mic setup because part of the look, but it's also, we had some pretty expensive modern big microphones, and this one works much better. It's much smoother. It picks up a more even area around the mic, where the other one you'd get close and get very bassy, and you'd get back far and it would get tinny, so you had to get right in the right spot. But this one, the range that it works in is much better. But he made it to look like those old microphones which the Western Electric Company invented back in 1925. Before that they had to sing into a horn, and then they came up with the microphone.
Do you take that with you when you go on the road?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We use it whenever we can. If it gets if we're playing in a place that's too loud, too noisy, like a bar or something like that, or some place where there's a lot of ambient noise, we can't use it. And then we would plug in our instruments with pickups, and we might use this just for the vocals, or one of the big mics for the vocals. But we try to use this whenever we can. It's just a much more natural look and sound, and we really like it.
Yeah. So. Yep. Anything else? Or I think my mom made it on, right? But I don't see her. Is she?
Angie.
Oh, Angie.
No. Why
Is
is she
that-
Angie, not Ann?
I don't know. She said she called herself Angie. So. Oh, good. So anyway, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming.
for coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see some thumbs up. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Tim. So, all right. Now what happens?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, we're just gonna wait.
We're just gonna wave. Now we're gonna have like a jam session with everybody, and we doing that too. All right.
Okay.
Okay. There goes Bob, and Angie's still there, and
Oh, Bob's still
Kathy. Yes. So, and so is Eric and Rick. Okay. Oh, my mom probably doesn't know how to sign out. Our number one fan, you're going to help us carry all the equipment down to the car and up the stairs?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay, I had it plugged in the wrong way.
Who's
Yeah.
that?
Bob.
This is Delhi. This is Delhi. Bob.
Delhi.
Yeah.
Bob from Delhi.
I thought you were asking about helping you with the instruments. You're a little bit far away, though.
Yes.
One of the good things about Zoom, we don't have to do a lot of
Just have to
hauling
bring it
around.
all into the other room. Yeah.
Yeah. I got audio, but I don't have a video, so you can't see me. But enjoy the show. It was good to see you on my computer here, and enjoyed watching.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know about it.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Okay,
Yes.
bye.
Great. Yeah, thanks for doing that. I just wanted to know how you guys liked it. I mean, it came across well. So
Oh,
We're
the
getting
Zoom.
used to it. You know, when the whole lockdown started and our shows started getting canceled, a couple of people asked us to do Zoom shows. We're like, nah, we don't want to do that. You know, hang into a computer. We'll wait till it comes around, you know, till things clear up. But after a while, it wasn't clearing up. So we said, oh, we'll try it. And we thought we would just sit in front of the computer and play. And it sounded terrible. It looked terrible. So we started experimenting. We ended up using basically our sound system that we use for a live show.
Yeah.
And a digital interface, and then
It's got the mixing board is over there, and the digital interface, and then the mic. You
for
can't
this show, I
see
don't know
that.
if anyone who saw any of the other shows, if it looks better. We got an HD web camera.
Yeah,
it looks great
Yeah, it
too.
does.
Yeah.
it does. It
Good
looks
stuff.
I can
okay.
see.
Video quality.
Yeah.
The cat looks good too. The cat looks good.
The cat. Oh, you could see the cat.
She went upstairs at one
Yeah.
point.
Now she's sleeping on the couch. Well, at the very first show, I accidentally locked her. Oh, the door's open. That's supposed to be closed behind me.
Can't see anything.
But anyway, the door was closed and the cat was locked in there, and she banged the door down in the middle of the show and managed to open it up and then came streaking through, and we're like, okay, that was good.
Oh, another one. She came. She started scratching on my leg.
Yeah. So there's nowhere to really like hide her, so she just joins in. But yeah, the first Zoom show that we did was very, very weird. It was the librarian's first show. It was our first show, and the librarian couldn't even get in herself for 20 minutes. So we started without her, and she eventually made it in, and I kept running up to the computer looking to see if she was there, and checking the chat, and not realizing that when I run up to the computer, all you're seeing is like this part of me. And until we watched the Zoom recording, and I'm like, you know, it's like all you see is me running up there, you know, sometimes up my nose. So I was like, okay.
So yeah, we're getting used to it. And I think we got the technology part of it down pretty well now.
Yeah, that went off without a hitch, and yeah, you just make the most of it, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's interesting. It is. So it's just like, it was just nice to have this concert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said earlier, I don't know if everyone was here yet. In some ways, it's more intimate than doing a regular show.
You're just playing just
it's almost
for
like you're
us.
playing just for one person. Yeah, it's
Right
like
here.
we're playing
Yeah.
for you when you're in the living room with us.
Private show. Thank you.
I mean, that's good, but it's it's different.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
on.
Good job. Wow.
Thank you so much. Okay, I guess I'll say goodbye till the next one. And is there anything we want to ask Jonathan before we go?
If you could send us the link to the YouTube thing, it would be good.
I still have the
that?
link.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the same link you sent me a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the link to our regular channel. But once we get, I have to wait for YouTube to finish it, so it'll probably be tomorrow, and I'll get you the link to the exact show.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess if you have something and you need his help, I'll just.
Yeah, if you have something else, just Georgiana has my email. too.
Oh, just
And we
keep
want
this
to thank you,
conversation.
Jonathan, for everything you did. It's-
Yes,
Thank
It's
you.
nice to have someone who's savvy.
savvy.
Doing
Yeah.
Jonathan, savvy.
Yes.
Savvy Jonathan.
He's got a new nickname.
Tech savvy.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Number one.
Number one.
There he is.